Hi everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really sweet card. This card actually was not designed by me. This was designed by Rachel Tessman, and you can find Rachel at stampyourartout.com, and she shared a few different cards that she made with this, but I was looking for a card to feature the How Sweet It Is DSP, actually the whole suite, for my card class on Friday. So I kind of, I went with most of her card design, but I have a few extra things to share with you that you could add to it if you wanted to. And I do have two of these left over. So one I'm going to be making today, and then the other one, if you leave a comment, what I'll do is I will draw a name and give the other card pack to. I can't send the stamped images, so you do have to stamp it yourself, and you'd have to find something to stamp on the inside. But if you haven't checked out Rachel's blog, go over and give it a peek, because she gave some really good tips on using DSP, which is why I wanted to make this card, because these are actually just 1-inch strips of DSP. So it's a great way to get the look of having an entire piece of DSP, but what you're going to do is you're actually covering it up with this. So I believe she called this a, let me think if I can find it. She called this, I'm sorry, a strip fold card, because it has basically strips of paper, but then also this little strip opens up. So it's a really sweet, easy way to use. If you wanted to, you could also put like a white piece on the background if you needed more room to write a note. You could use a smaller sentiment, but there's definitely enough room to write on the inside there. So this uses the Jar of Sweets framelits, the Sweetest Thing stamp set, and again, there's lots of different stuff you can do with this, and also uses the How Sweet It Is DSP, which the cool part about this is there's lots of these little jars that coordinate with the die, so you can save yourself a lot of time by just cutting one out. Actually, I'm of course going to pick the wrong one, but you can just cut one out. Or you can use there's lots of other things in here. There's cupcakes, you could use so many different things. But the other thing you can do is you can even save some of these pieces. So I know I have a lot of negative space here, but if you were going to make like a very small, narrow, you could trim this out, and this could almost be the background of your shaker card. So you could kind of bump this up and then put the shaking stuff behind it, maybe put another piece of DSP, so you could use like one of these pieces in the background. So there's definitely a lot that you can still do with this, or you can even flip it over and just use the candy side for something else, so if you don't end up cutting out all these pieces. But this is also will be great too if you're a scrapbooker, maybe for a scrapbook page, if you went to like one of those really fancy candy stores in New York City, or you went on some kind of like a candy extravaganza. So great DSP for that as well if you are a scrapbooker. But this one has a lot of fun backgrounds in it too that you can use. So the stripes are definitely in here. And I did get a lot of cards out of one piece of paper. I think I made 14 cards, believe it or not, out of one piece. But there's also some really fun ones with just some gummy bears. And then the other side also has another striped one that you could use if you wanted to go with more of a specific color theme. So I'm going to share these pieces with you today. So I do have a packet that is going to go to someone, so just make sure you leave a comment. I'll pick a name. And I'm also going to throw in, I just have some little strips that I cut out some extra pieces from. This is the foil, that's the celebration foil, so I'll just give you these two extra pieces. This one is Grapefruit Grove, and as you can see, it's really holographic and pretty. And this one is Lovely Lipstick, so pink. So those will go in as well, and I'll give you all the pieces to make the card. Everything's already scored. There's just nothing stamped. So you do have to stamp your own card. But what you're going to do for this packet, just get this out, is you're going to pick a background. And again, you don't have to pick black, but I thought it kind of made the colors really, really pop with using the black. So you're going to have a black base card, and this is going to be 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then you're going to have two 1-inch by 5 1/4 inch strips of DSP. So again, you could use either side. You could certainly use this side if you wanted to. But the neat part about what Rachel explained was when you cut these pieces, so you're going to cut a 5 1/4 piece, and then you're going to trim these at 1 inch all the way down. See if I can get this to go correctly. And what it does, the way once you line the paper up and then you put your other layer over top, what it actually does is it masks it off so you look like you used one whole piece, but you didn't. So when she cut her 1-inch strips, she cut strips all the way down, and then she used the first and the third strip, the second and the fourth strip, and so on, because the way the lines line up, it almost masks, and it makes it look like it's a whole piece of paper in spots, even though it's not. So it's pretty cool for optical illusion. Okay, so this piece is, I believe, let me just make sure I have my measurements right. I think this is this is 2 1/8 by, I think it's 10. Nope, 2 1/8 by 11, and then you're going to score it at 5 1/2, and then this is just a 1/4 inch smaller. So this should be 2. Make sure I'm right. So that is actually, nope, I trimmed this one down. So this one is 1 7/8 by 5 5/8. So that's going to layer there, and then I just have another little scrap piece to stamp the happy birthday part on. And I will put all the measurements for all this on my blog, so you don't have to worry about writing anything down. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by stamping, and then we'll assemble this. So I did cut out the large jar, and then I cut out a couple of holographic pieces just to add a little bit of candy to. So there's 2 pieces that are in the lovely lipstick foil, and then 2 pieces that are in the Grapefruit Grove foil, which this is almost as cool as that black foil paper we have out, just because it's so different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Make It a Sweet Celebration on the inside. And on the other one, I believe I did that in Gorgeous Grape, but we'll do a little bit different for this one, just to break it up a little bit. And then you could always make this into a happy birthday card, sweets for you. You could even pop this out for a quick Valentine's card if you needed something, but we're going to stick with happy birthday. And then I'm going to just bring out the candy piece just so I can add that as well. So I'm going to put my happy birthday on a block and my little candy piece on a block. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to grab my mat. So when you have photopolymer stamps, you want to stamp on the paper piercing mat. You could even do it on some catalogs if you wanted to. It doesn't really make too much difference. I'm going to do this in Coastal Cabana just to switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to ink up my sentiment in Coastal Cabana. You could also do this in Bermuda Bay if you wanted something a little darker. See what this looks like. And don't mind that pink stained block. Everything's going to be fine. So that's pretty straight considering. That's a shocker. And then I'm going to do my candy pieces in Highland Heather. And what I did for this is I stamped one in full strength, and then I stamped it off. And then I just did the same thing on the other side, but opposite. So stamped the full strength on the bottom, stamped it off again on the top. And then what you can do is you can leave this out. So you're going to kind of close this. I'm going to squeeze it just to make a little puddle. And you can grab either a blender pen if you wanted to, or your Wink of Stella pen, either one. And you can just pick up a little bit of ink. And then you can fill in, whoopsie, you can fill in the inside of your candy. So if you do it with the Wink of Stella, the bonus is it gives you a little bit of sparkle as well. And you can also even just kind of drag the ink from the sides of your stamped image, and that'll fill it in as well. And we'll just fill this in while we're at it. Just like that. And I'm going to flip this around. I'm not going to re-ink this before doing the lighter one. So it's a little bit lighter. And then I'm just going to pick up more ink when I do the darker one. Again, it will have some sparkle in it, so that's just kind of a bonus. And with your pad, if you're concerned, all you have to do is just wipe this out with a baby wiper or wet paper towel, but it shouldn't affect it. And then the other thing I'm going to do while I have this out is I'm going to just go over my candy pieces with a little bit of Wink of Stella, just so they're a little bit sparkly. Not really even squeezing it. I'm just kind of touching the Wink of Stella brush to all of these. Doesn't have to be super sparkly, but it's enough that when you move it, you can see that little shimmer there. And I'm going to put a little bit on the top of the glass. Now, if you're going to do this one to something white again, you do want to make sure you clean it off because it will pick up the color in the tip. So just make sure you brush it out until it's clear, but no problem. You can use that on inks as well. It's kind of like a blender pen, but a blender pen with sparkles. So now I'm going to go ahead and stamp the happy birthday, and I'm going to stick with that in Highland Heather. And I think what I did for this, I think I stamped it closer to, where's my one? Closer to the edge. So I'm going to stamp that kind of over here, but enough that I can still flag the end. Okay. So if you don't have anything that's small enough to trim this with, so the triple banner punch, if you have trouble lining it up, all you really have to do is just grab your paper snips, and I know this is pretty shallow, but grab your paper snips. You're going to cut in the middle, and then you're just going to cut up to the angle where you snipped from the corner, and then you'll flag your ends really nicely. So very simple. And then all we have to do right now is just put this together. So let me move these out of the way. And I'm actually going to put these together with Tombow liquid glue because it makes it a little bit easier to stick stuff on if you have to move it, especially with these little background pieces. So I'm going to grab, you know, I didn't even unload my, all of my, let me fold this real quick. I didn't even unload all of my supplies still from the party, so that's why I can't find my adhesive. All right, so I hit that with my bone folder so it's nice and flat. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow liquid glue on here. And pop this on. Just like that. So this will give you enough room if you want to write, you know, love your favorite aunt ever. Or if you wanted to, again, on the back, you could put a panel, so 4 by 5 1/4 piece of white on the back, so you could write a bigger note if you wanted to. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow onto these strips. And once again, they don't really have to be precise, but if you wanted to make sure you lined them up, just kind of figure out which is the top and which is the bottom. Pretty sure this is the way I had it. Now I'm not quite so sure. It was this, nope, because there's the purple there. That's going to be good enough. We're going to leave it like that. We'll see what it looks like. So I kind of just eyeball these. So I have them maybe about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and then 1/4 of an inch from the top. And then same thing again, you're going to just put some glue in the center here. Do make sure you go to the edge, that way it'll stick. And then you're going to just take your piece. You can fold this in half because this is going to fit end to end. And you're going to kind of just lay it right over top so it covers up both of those pieces, so you can't actually tell that there's not one full sheet of cardstock under there. So great deal because you get more for your money with your DSP, which is awesome because I know we have a hard time using our DSP, but this is a great way to get a lot of cards out of it for not a lot of bang. So the other thing you could do is you could put like 2 of these pieces of candy on the inside if you wanted to. So I think I'm going to put 1 of these on the inside here. So again, I'm just adding a little Tombow. I'll just put this kind of over here. I'm going to make it so it goes so you can see them. Okay, and then I'm going to put these on with dimensionals. I did manage to get my dimensionals out, so I'm going to pop a few on the back. But this is such a cute card design, and I'm really glad I came across Rachel's blog because she has a lot of really good ideas, and this is, again, a great idea for saving DSP. So what I'm going to do is pop this. I'm going to stick, you just kind of eyeball where I want to put this. So if I put that there, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of this. I'll pop that on just like that. And then the other thing you could do is, where is my lid? Here it is. You could put a couple pieces of candy here on the front if you wanted to, like they kind of fell out. You could pop these up on mini dimensionals or regular dimensionals. I'm going to put one here. And then I'm going to stick this one flat. And the nice part about these, you can do these multiple ways. But the cool part about these dies, they actually, I should have showed you that in the beginning. They actually will emboss a detail part to them just with the cutting. I didn't even use the embossing mat for these. And as you can see, they have a little bit of embossing to them, so that's pretty neat. And then I'm going to put the other one just on the other side to balance it out. And I'm just going to put this one on again with a dimensional. You can put it on with glue dots if you're afraid of it being a little too high, but... And you could put pieces on the inside if you wanted to, but really sweet. Super fun. Another cool thing is you also have this that we stamped here. You can cut this out with the die too. So if you wanted them to match, so since I have all these purple ones, I could stamp it in the Gorgeous Grape, or the Highland Heather, I should say. Cut it out with the die, and then I would have that piece so they would match on the front. But I think these pink and Grapefruit Grove are really, really cute. So again, then if you wanted to, you could just put a panel in the back if you wanted to have a little bit more room. But really, really fun, very simple card. One thing, it does not really stand up on its own because of the way it is, so it would lean forward. But you could also remedy that if you wanted to, and you could make it a long card instead. So you could have a, you could have your candy jar over here and this sticking out to the side, your sentiment, and then you just have to pick a different sentiment. That way it would fit crosswise. But I think this is a super sweet card. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. I will put again all the full measurements on this. But thank you again to Rachel Tessman, who originally shared this on her blog, which again is Stamp Your Art Out. She has a lot of really fun stuff. So if you haven't gone over there, definitely take a peek. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.